Well, the All Basotho Convention has been in power in Lesotho since 2017. However, differences within the party have resulted in 2 prime ministers in just 5 years. Now, despite Parliament's failure to implement constitutional reforms to bring about political stability, Friday's election has come and gone, and now vote tallying is currently underway as Basotho hope for a leader who can bring about change in the Mountain Kingdom. For an update on this developing story, we're joined by political analyst Tlohang Letsie. Tlohang, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us on the Weekend Report this morning. Very quickly, how is the vote tallying rather going so far this morning?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. Like we have already indicated, the voting took place on Friday, and as now, last evening, I think around 8 o'clock, that is when they stopped counting for a while, and they'll be starting today at around 8:30. The election went very, very well, and the counting is showing that the newly formed Revolution for Prosperity has taken, I think, about 27 of the 28 constituencies that have already been counted, but everything has gone well.
So, Revolution for Prosperity Party is seemingly edging forward and taking the lead. I want us to talk about that a little bit, because that was the projection when the formation was formed back in March. But all eyes were not only on the Revolution for Prosperity Party, but were also on the Democratic Congress. How has that party been performing so far? And where is All Basotho Convention in all of this?
You are quite right. The Revolution for Prosperity has taken everybody by surprise. Not a single person ever thought that it would be performing the way it is performing now. And if the earlier indications are anything by, it is likely to get more than half of the constituencies. In fact, it is likely to get more than 60 votes. Now, you are talking about the Democratic Congress, the party that was seen to be the outright favorite earlier. It is performing quite not impressively. However, it is somehow in some other constituencies, somehow neck to neck with the RFP. As far as the ABC is concerned, it has performed extremely dismally. In most constituencies, it has not even garnered a quarter of what the RFP has garnered. So RFP has taken everyone by surprise.
You know, when it comes to the All Basotho Convention, perhaps the writing was already on the wall. I mean, we're talking about 2 prime ministers in the space of 5 years, 3 elections in the space of 5 years. Clearly, the thirst or the hunger for change was a real one amongst Basotho. Let's talk about what the Revolution for Prosperity is offering to the Basotho people that is different to what ABC has been able to proffer up so far.
Okay, thank you very much. Starting by the developments within the ABC, yes, I agree with you that the writing was already on the wall. But the change of leadership, where we saw Kabi coming in for former leader Thabani, it seemed like things were somehow stabilizing. They were improving a little bit. But like I said earlier, it has taken everybody by surprise that it has performed so dismally. As far as RFP is concerned, I think what has worked in the favor of the RFP is that it comes at a time when the parties that came before it simply disappointed a lot of people. And the votes that it got, in my opinion, are mostly of those people who were angry with the past establishments. So, another thing is that the leader of the RFP was very, very influential, particularly during the COVID-19 with his philanthropic deeds, where he dished out money trying to help the needy societies, in sometimes trying to build laboratories and so on and so forth. So people are disillusioned now, and they see him as a rescuer. They see him as their messiah. So that is what he brings. Other than that, there's nothing much, because he has just been in politics for a few months. It's just that he's riding on his history.
Are there no concerns, rather, that given the fact that Sam Matekane is a well-known philanthropist but has little experience when it comes to governing a country, are there no concerns about his inexperience when it comes to politics, when it comes to governance, and when it comes to bringing together a country that has really gone through some devastating effects, given the political instability that the Basotho have had to endure over the last 5 years?
Yes, there have been signs and concerns of his inexperience, but I think at this point in time, they are not what matters most to an ordinary Mosotho. For an ordinary Mosotho, is a matter of somebody who is bringing hope. I still believe that, like any other person, there's always a first time. So with right people around him, he might be guided properly. I think the only important thing for him is to make sure that he surrounds himself with people who share his vision, who will not mislead him, because he is going to be under very, very serious pressure because of the hope that people have on him.
All right, well, let's talk about the disappointments that you mentioned earlier, the disappointments that the Basotho people have endured, one of those being the parliamentary deadlock that took place, leading to the failure of those constitutional reforms being put in place. There was a lot of hope pinned on those reforms to bring about the change that is needed in Lesotho. I mean, we saw SADC intervening at some point because of the political instability in that country. So a lot of hope pinned on these reforms, Parliament unable, or politicians unable to pass through those constitutional reforms. So what's next? What happens now?
You are quite right. That is one of the most disappointing things that people will always be looking at when they talk about the last parliament. You will recall that during the speech from the throne, the king specifically talked about the importance of the reforms and urged the parliament to make sure that they worked over the reforms successfully. But what happened is history. Now, way forward, I still believe not everything is lost. The next parliament can still work on those reforms. I think it's just a matter of getting them from wherever they are, throwing away the dust, and then bringing them back to into parliament chambers to be discussed and then worked upon accordingly. And I think, in my view, that would be the most wise thing to do for the new parliament, because as we speak now, the country, many development partners seem to have lost confidence in the country. You will recall how organizations like European Union, SADC, and others had invested in the reforms. So if the parliament can work speedily on those reforms, I think it will be one way of trying to gain more and more of the development partners' confidence. So there's still hope about the reforms.
Tlohang, from the perspective of the ordinary Mosotho, we've gotten reports that generally the mood is one of buoyancy, the mood is one of positivity, which is new given the fact that in previous elections there was an element of tension, slight tensions, but it does seem that these elections have been swift, have been calm, and have been peaceful. What are the Basotho people saying on the ground? Is there this element or this energy of positivity around the outcomes, or at least the projected outcomes of these elections?
I think you're quite right. There is much of a difference this time around. And to be honest, I was surprised myself on the day before election and on the election day itself, looking at the level of discipline. You know, you could move around. People had so much obliged to the electoral laws. You could no longer see all this party regalia. They had been kept away. I mean, there was so much peace. The mood was very, very peaceful. And as we speak now, it still remains peaceful. There is a hope. And like I said earlier, this might be proved to be very, very dangerous if the newly coming government does not handle it properly, because people are hopeful. People were disillusioned before, but now they are hopeful that the newly coming government is likely to help them, pull them out of this mess that they find themselves in now. So people are very, very positive that there's going to be change. And it is for the new government to make sure that it doesn't disappoint them the way they were disappointed by their predecessors.
Well, Tlohang, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this morning and helping us to unpack developments out in Lesotho. That is, of course, on our screens there, we had political analyst Tlohang Letsie just bringing us the latest there from Lesotho. Up next, we bring you